Hi boys and girls, today we're focusing on the term times 10, and in place value what we've learned is when we move up a place value, so from my ones to my tens I get bigger, and we say we get 10 times bigger, and then when I move from my tens to my hundreds I get 10 times bigger. When I move from my hundreds to my thousand I get 10 times bigger. So we learned that as we move to our ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, we're getting bigger, and specifically by a place value it's 10 times bigger. So I'm going to show you this using base 10 blocks to prove to you that when you move a place value it does get 10 times bigger. So let's start with the number that I put in my place value chart. So I have a 3 in my ones, so the value of that is 3. So I'm going to go ahead and model it with my base 10 blocks. So 1, 2, 3. Now I am going to multiply this number by 10. Now I'm going to do this slowly, so some of you already may know that 3 times 10 equals blank. You already know the answer, but I'm just going to show you. So let's multiply this one by 10. So times 1, times 2, times 3, times 4, times 5, times 6, times 7, times 5, times 10. So there I have 10 units. All right, now let's multiply this one times 1, times 10, times 1, times 2, times 3, times 4, times 5, times 6, times 7, times 8, times 9, times 10. And then I have 10 units. Last one, let's multiply this one by times 10. I'm going to go ahead and do that for you. Times 10 is 10. I know whenever I have 10 units, that's equivalent to how many tens? It's equivalent to, I'm going to regroup this. So I'm going to take these 10 units and regroup it for a 10 rod. So regroup, here I have 10 units. I'm going to regroup these for a 10 rod. And I'm going to regroup these 10 units for a 10 rod. So when I multiply 3 times 10, what's the value of it? So 10, 20, 30. So now I'm saying I multiply that by 10. So the way I write 30 is I have 0 ones and 1, 2, 3 tens. Now I want you to look at that. So when I multiply 3 times 10, I got 30. What do you notice? Yeah, it just went up a place value. So when I multiply times 10, I move up a place value, times 10. Okay, now let's multiply 30 times 10 to see where that leaves me. So let's have this one. So let's multiply this 10 rod times 10. Times 1, times 2, times 3, times 4, times 5, times 6, times 7, times 8, times 9, times 10. So I have 110 times 10 equals 10 tens. I can regroup 10 tens for what? 100. So I'm going to regroup. All right, now I'm going to multiply this 10 times 10. Times 1, times 2, times 3, times 4, times 5, times 6, times 7, times 9, times 10. So now I have 10 tens. What can I regroup this for? 100. So I'm going to go ahead and regroup. And then I'm going to multiply this 10 times 10. Times 1, times 2, times 3, times 4, times 5, times 6, times 7, times 8, times 9, times 10. And I can regroup 10 rods for what? 100. So we started with 30 and we multiplied it times 10. And what is the value of 3 hundreds? 100, 200, 300. So I have a 3 in my hundreds place. I have no tens and no ones. Okay, so we multiply 30 times 10. And we got 300. What do you notice about the digit 3 when I multiplied it times 10? It went up a place value. All right, so last time we're going to multiply 300 times 10. So let's see where we end up. Go ahead and predict where you think my 3 is going to go. Okay, so let's multiply this 100 times 10. Okay, times 1, times 2, times 3, times 4, times 5, times 6, times 7, times 8, times 9, times 10. All right, I have 10 hundreds. What does 10 hundreds regroup to? Yeah, it regroups to 1,000. So now I'm going to go ahead and switch this out for my thousands cube. Regroup. Now I'm going to multiply this 100 times 10. 10 times 1, times 2, times 3, times 4, times 5, times 6, times 7, times 8, times 9, times 10. Okay, what does 10 hundreds regroup to? Yep, 1,000. All right, and then for our last one, we're going to multiply this 100 times 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so when I multiplied 300 times 10, I got how many thousands? 1, 2, 3. What's the value of 3 thousands? It is 3,000. So now I'm going to go ahead and write that in my place value chart. So I have 3 thousands, no hundreds, no tens, no ones. So when I multiply 300 times 10, that equals 3,000. So now let's just look at this. Now we showed each time when we multiplied times 10, the digit 3 went up a place value. Times 10, times 10, times 10. So when you go up a place value, you get bigger. And how many times bigger? Times 10 bigger. So let's focus on some word problems. So number 1, what is big vocabulary right here? Times 10, the number of 20. So times 10, does that mean I'm getting bigger or smaller? Bigger. So I'm going to write that because that's really important for me to remember. So it's reasonable for my answer to be bigger than the number 20. So whenever I'm focusing on a place value question, what's important is to make a place value chart. So I'm going to do a place value chart. So I got my ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. And I'm going to draw lines so I can clearly write my numbers. Okay, so let's put the number 20 in our place value chart. So in the number 20, I have 0 ones and I have 2 tens. So 20 is in my place value chart. And I want to my number clearly write this number is. So let's look at my digit 2. If I get 10 times bigger, am I going to stay here or am I going to move up a place value or down a place value? I am going to move up a place value. 10 times bigger is a place value over. And now I'm going to go ahead and fill in my tens place with a 0, a number that doesn't represent anything, and a 0 here. So I'm just showing the shift. When I multiply 20 times 10, I get 200. So my answer for this is 200. So for our second problem, I want you to focus with the intent that I want you to try this one by yourself after we finish. So I want you to focus, watch my steps of making a place value chart, and watch my steps of showing that times 10 you're moving up a place value. So let's read this problem. What is 10 times the value of the digit 4 and the number 12,493? So again, here we have this vocabulary, times 10. Does times 10 mean I'm getting bigger or smaller? It means bigger. So I know that this will be bigger than the 4 in this number. So let me go ahead and do a place value chart. So that's going to be our first step. So this number's pretty big. So it goes to my ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000. So I'm going to make sure my place value chart at least goes to my 10,000s. I got my ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. I'm going to draw lines. And now I'm going to plug this number in, starting my ones place. 3 ones, 9 tens, 4 hundreds, comma, 2 thousands, 1 10,000s. Okay, and I am focusing on a specific digit. What digit am I focusing on? the digit 4. So I am going to look at this digit 4. And the 4 is in the hundreds place. So what is the value of that 4? If I have 4 hundreds, 1, 2, 3, 4. The value of it is 400. So I'm going to write 400. Okay, let's see if I've answered my questions. What is 10 times the value of the 4? 400 in this number. No, I just wrote the value of this 4 in this number. I've got to multiply it times 10. So when I multiply it times 10, let's focus on the digit 4. Is it going to stay in the hundreds place? Is it going to go to my thousands place? Or is it going to go to my tens place? If I multiply times 10, it gets bigger a place value. And the bigger a place value is my thousands. So my 4, the bigger value is bigger a place to my thousands. Add that comma, and then fill it in with zeros. So 10 times the value of the digit 4 in this number is 4,000. Okay, now it's your turn to try.